Good morning and welcome to the market opening show. This is our collab show between Business Today and India Today Television. It's 9 a.m. and we are here to get you all the market opening action. But first up, let's take a look at what's hot in corporate and financial world. Indigo flight chaos continues as over 650 cancellations hit passengers nationwide. DGCA gives a 24-hour extension with time till 6 p.m. today for CEO and COO to reply, even as the airline says 95% connectivity is restored and full operations will stabilize by December 10. The US team led by Deputy USTR Switzer will visit India from December 10 to 12 to discuss tariff issues. Reports say the talks won't amount to a formal negotiation round, but both sides are aiming to make strong progress toward resolving tariff concerns. Starting today, NSE rolls out a new 15-minute pre-open session for equity derivatives covering stock and index futures. The window runs from 9 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. with order entry, matching and buffer phase, settling a single opening price through a call auction process. It's a blockbuster week for primary market with 13 IPOs opening this week, including Wakefit's 1,289 crore rupees issue priced at 185 to 195 rupees per share till December 10, and ICICI Prudential AMC IPO now priced at 2,061 to 2,165 rupees opening on December 12, alongside Corona Remedies and other main board offerings as well. Good morning to all our viewers. We are heading into another week now. Of course, remember, after 2 straight weeks of winning action, and we actually did see the 26,000 mark getting scaled last week, we're again looking at some more action to take place this week as well. Let's straight away, however, go across to my colleague first before we look at the market action. According to reports, a US trade delegation led by Deputy USTR Rick Switzer will now visit India from December 10 to 12 for talks on tariff issues. While meetings are not a formal negotiation round, but both sides are now hoping to make strong progress to resolve whatever is the remaining trade concern between the two nations. I'm now joined by Karishma Sudani to share with us more details on the same as well. I think, Karishma, this is the another step forward when we talk about the ongoing trade talks, and that's what the markets are also clearly keeping a keen eye out on. What would this negotiation be about, and would this mean we are now inching closer to the finalization of the trade deal between US and India?
Sakshi, very interesting, the fact that the whole crux of this meeting, which likely is again not an official round of negotiation, but just to kind of finalize and put a final mastering on the first tranche of the deal, and it's definitely important and paves way for both the countries to come on a common conclusion, because also Commerce Secretary is also the former chief negotiator from the Indian government side, had mentioned just last week that before the year end, they at least wanted to do away with the reciprocal tariff imposition by the US on India as their first tranche of the whole BTA. But when I was speaking to a couple of analysts yesterday about this, they told me that because it's a deputy team being led, of course, it does has important officials. The major decisions will still happen in the Oval Office. So this, and the fact that this is not an official round of negotiation, yet another round of just final mastering, which happened October when our Indian delegation had visited the Washington just before Diwali. Yet in 2 months, not much officially had been announced. So this could be another round of saying, nudging each other or asking for concessions to each other.
Absolutely. So the talks continue, even though the major decisions will be taken by the top leadership there. Let me also actually come to the Indigo story. Since, Karishma, you've been tracking this very, very closely. Seems like mayhem and chaos continues for the 7th straight session as Indigo crisis refuses to ease, with over 600 flights that have cancelled on December 7th alone as well. Do help us understand what the Delhi airport has issued as fresh advisory recovery. Of course, will there be further delays and cancellations even today? And this is coming despite the company also saying that they are in control of the situation.
Well, it's actually important to understand that Indigo flies about more than 2,000 flights, close to 2,250 in fact, if we look at the domestic sectors let alone. They have officially shared that they've been able to restore operations up to close to 1,600, and that is because of the extension and the exemption that DGCA has given to them on FDTL norms. They've also shared that their on-time performance has close to reached about 75%,
Sure.
and things have more or less been operationalized across airports, and they'll continue to until they are, of course, until December 10th, where they'll be able to fully get back to their operations as it was existing before the crisis exploded. However, Delhi airport and other airports have warned passengers because there could be still operational issues, last moment cancellations. They're still not in full capacity. They're still not operating in full capacity, and that will take another 2 days for things to normalize.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Karishma. Do keep an eye out on it and get us all those developments on Indigo front as well, so that we can keep all our viewers updated on the same. Let's now go across to our market experts. We have, of course, Shel Bhatnagar, our consulting editor for markets. And, of course, we also have Ajay Batra, senior market veteran, also joining in. But markets have opened at 26,142 at this point in time, slightly on the back foot at this point. Shel, how do you see the market session opening? What are the key points that you're keeping an eye out on today? All right. We'll try to get back to Shel.
Wonderful
Yes.
Monday morning that pans out on
Yes, Shel, please continue. We can hear you
on
now.
Dalal Street. Metals, private banks, auto, and the digital space in Dalal Street will show strength as far as the long side trades are concerned. On the overside, on the oversold side, you have PSU banks. Therefore, all dips which you see on SBI, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, and Indian Bank are opportunities to get back on the long side as far as those wonderful trades are concerned. And in the IT space, strength comes in the form of TCS, emphasis in particular, HCL Technologies, as also from the NBFC space, Sundaram Finance and old world favorite, L&T Finance and AB Capital are looking good. All told, please consult a financial advisor before you get into these trades or you get into these stocks.
All right, we have just the right person to talk about the markets. Mr. Ajay Batra is now joining in, senior market veteran. Warm welcome to you, sir. Good to have you with us right at the beginning of the market opening. To help us understand, how are you assessing the market currently? Last week we, of course, climbed to fresh record high levels. How are you assessing? Will this momentum sustain? Are there going to be, again, stumbling blocks that the markets have to face? And what is it that the markets are clearly looking at as triggers that could probably propel it to a different orbit much higher from here?
Yeah, great to be on your show again, Sakshi. I think the biggest trigger for the market this week will be the visit of the US trade delegation. So if any good news comes through there, or if there are indications of an imminent trade tariff relief, the markets could really rally very strongly. What is the setup right now? We have underperformed the emerging markets by for about 14 months by about 25%. Normally, when we underperform for such a prolonged period, the next 12 months are pretty good. So we are historically sitting on the cusp of a catch-up trade in India. What will be the catalyst for that? There could be two things which are visible right now. One is, of course, some relief on the US trade side. Second would be the union budget. If there is a strong stimulus coming in the union budget, that will help. The RBI did the heavy lifting last week, so that is done and dusted. We are expecting another rate cut from the RBI in February because the real interest rates stay very high. Look at, say, a developed economy like Japan, where next week we are expecting a rate hike, but still that will take them to 0.5% versus an inflation of 3%. So there's a huge stimulus embedded in a major economy like Japan, whom we are competing with to overtake and become the number third, while we are paying a 5% real interest rate. So that is a very big drag on the economy. RBI is aware of it, and we expect more stimulus there. But I think we are sitting on the cusp now. Will it be a year-end rally or will it be a pre-budget rally coming in January? That we have to see. A lot will depend on the US negotiations this week.
Also, do you think the FIS return is also hinging on that trade deal being finalized between the two countries? They are again on a selling spree. Last 3 days, again, we've seen about 6,000 odd crore rupees of sell-off from the FIS. What will bring them back and bring them back sustainably?
Yeah, we have to see the rupee stabilizing. That becomes a very big factor, and a 5% drop in the rupee this year has not helped in terms of retaining or turning back FIs. FIs, if you look at where are they going, they went into Taiwan, Korea, China. We saw money going into Japan as well, much cheaper markets valuation-wise. And they have pure play AI plays. So whoever was trying to diversify out of the Mag 7 in the US, the magnificent top 7 stocks, could find players. Like the Korean market has become so concentrated. Today, Samsung and Hynix are 31% of the Korean market because they've both gone, Samsung is up 80% plus, Hynix is up more than 120%. The entire market they have raised by about 60% this year. So these are the beneficiaries. For FIs to find India attractive, valuations have to go down. Now that could be if the market fell sharply. That has not happened because retail flows have held up the market. So what is the second option then? Your corporate earnings have to grow and the rupee has to stabilize. I think we'll have to watch for these two. Corporate earnings are coming back. We are seeing a plateau happen in September. From here on, we should see gradual recovery, and the rupee stabilizing will be very critical.
Absolutely. Are there any sectors, segments of the markets that are offering value at this stage also to you, Mr. Bagga? Where are you finding confidence in the markets?
I think the rate sensitives will do well. You are seeing monetary space for the RBI to cut rates further, except real estate. Real estate surprised that it didn't contribute on Friday. But I think the banks, NBFCs, what Shal was mentioning earlier, banks and NBFCs look well positioned for the imminent turnaround in the markets. IT would be a contrarian bet. Some amount of interest is returning, not a very loved sector, underappreciated, under-owned. So it sets up for a contrarian play as the IT allocations increase next year. Our IT companies should benefit.
Absolutely. Let me go across to Shell again. Shell, what are the top stocks you're watching out for right now? I can see Eternal up by about 1%, despite that block deal taking place.
Yes.
Any other stocks that you're watching out for closely?
Well, Sakshi, I think there is, despite all the bad news, some sort of relief coming into Indigo. It opened sharply lower. If you look at how the system was set up in the morning, 5168 for you, the low was 5050. But this is the 6th, 7th day of pain. Ideally, if the market were not expecting Indigo to ride through the crisis, you would have seen a 10-20% downtick, but that's not happened. So that is for long-term shareholders of Indigo, seems to be a bit of a relief. But Eternal all the way, 1.5% higher. Remember, we've seen 340, 350 on the stock in the month of November, October. So this shift seems to be a swing trade in the making. Record highs on National Aluminium, which we've been pointing out for a while. And amongst the top gainers, you see Linde India 2.5% higher. This is a win for short-term, long-term shareholders, where the CFO has resigned on a very long case with SEBI and SAT. So that's a big win. There is some victory happening in transformers and rectifiers. Post earnings, this was beaten black and blue, now 2.5% higher. Broadly,
Sure.
markets are flat. Sakshi, let's see how the first 15 minutes lapse.
Absolutely. But Mr. Bagga, what's your take on Indigo per se? We are seeing more and more brokerage houses cut their targets, even though maintaining a buy call on Indigo. This has been a monopoly, wealth-creating stock in the aviation space in India. A lot of investors have believed it and kept this stock in their core portfolios for the long term. Time and again, on the profitability front, the company has proven its worth. But these fresh concerns, are they, a lot to ignore? Should one just keep an eye out on the long term and move beyond the current troublesome times? How should one tackle Indigo at this point?
Yeah, Sakshi, I'm not able to speak on particular companies, but overall airlines as a sector is an avoid. Very high capex, and they have to get so many parameters right to do well. When you have a market like India with so many diversified consumer plays available, you really don't need to get into a very, very highly regulated, very capital intensive and dependent on global moves in aviation fuel prices, very not able to price properly, having so many types of charges coming in from parking to airport charges to all kinds of things. Very difficult to make a company in a sector like this make money consistently. We have seen so many companies flounder in this sector. So I would say it's an avoid as a sector without commenting on the company. As a consumer, what we all saw, I think that was something very unpleasant for the country. It's a critical infrastructure. We should have so much capacity built in that there is a failure rate of 5% in takeoffs and still you have enough alternatives. So I think there a lot of focus will now come in building up competition and breaking this duopoly or monopoly situation.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, viewers, as we were marking out Eternal for you, the large trade has been executed. 5.3 crore shares have exchanged hands. This is a total of 0.54% of the total equity. The deal value is 1,535 odd crore rupees, and the block deal price was 290.4 rupees per share, is what we are given to understand right now. Eternal's moved to the top spot, over 1% higher in trade. That's the parent company of Zomato, as you see in front of your screens, at 295. So keep that stock in your mind, into your watch list throughout the course of this session today as well. But let's also talk about, this entire new age tech basket, Mr. Bagga. How are you assessing this entire story? Moving beyond the two, frontline stocks, Zomato and Swiggy, that we've always talked about. This quarter also showed some more strength even in the below the surface stocks. A lot of other companies that were reeling under a lot of pressure throughout this year, say for instance, Mamaearth, Honasa Consumer or Nykaa, a lot of these other companies, Delivery also started to perform as far as the earnings are concerned. Are you also looking at a broad spectrum of these stocks, as a potential, buy list for your clients as well?
Yeah, Sakshi, how to look at these very highly valued. So valuations are so high that the execution has to be spot on, and you are paying for the next few years of growth already in the current prices. So if you are not invested, you can wait on the sidelines. There will be one or two winners coming out in each of these segments, and people will have bragging rights, but there'll be a lot of failures. So on a risk reward, as an old-fashioned investor, I'm not very clear on this. And I think we are in the late stage of this present market up move. So over the next 2 years, you are going to see a big correction in the US markets, especially on the technology side. And then these companies will also get questioned. So overall, survivability is an issue. They are having to raise money continuously. One or two of them will become very big, and they will be the new Amazons or, the new Googles, and what came out of the dot-com crash. Those companies will give bragging rights to investors. But for retail investors, I think these are valuations are just too high. You are paid for next few years of growth already, and they have to execute to perfection. Any of that tick mark goes away, you will lose money. So not a very good risk reward scenario, I would say.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mr. Bhagat, then for being with us on the show. We are running out of time to wind up the show now. Thank you. Always appreciate your presence and your understanding of the markets that you pass on to all our viewers as well. And thanks a lot, Shell, as well, for being on the show. With that, viewers, we are going to be wrapping up. 26,145 on your screens. There's a mild downtick, 0.16 odd percent. Will this convert into green by the end of the session today is something that we will track for you very, very closely. Time for a short break, but do stay tuned. Market coverage will now continue on India Today at 3 p.m. for you, but on Business Today throughout the course of the day as well. Thank you so much for watching.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We begin the first week of the first day of the second week of December on a modest back foot. The bulls are sort of trying to defend 26,100 from the bears as far as the Nifty is concerned. A mild bit of profit booking on the bank Nifty, 200 points down, but what is really interesting is the strength that is coming in the IT space. 170 points higher on the index itself, and helping on the way up as far as IT is concerned are stocks like Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Infosys on the Nifty, strength in TCS as well. And from the mid cap space, you should be looking at Emphasis, you should be looking at Consistent and Coforge. Now, what's working in the broader market? Well, strength in MCX, strength in IEX from the exchange spaces, and a large block deal worth 1,500 crores on Zomato. Remember, Zomato has had a troubling November and October. The stock has corrected from a high of 350, 360 all the way down to 294, and a massive block happening there today, which is roughly worth about 1,500 crores. 6 crore shares have been traded. So far, the trading volume in the first 15 minutes of trade is 1,764 crores. Indigo, all the pain in the airline getting reflected in the stock price. 7th day of fall, 3.7% lower, 5,174. Already 1,400 crores worth of shares have been traded. Remember, this is the 5th day when the airline is falling. Till about last Monday, you had seen a price of almost 5,950. Today's low is 5,050. But this is a modest and a muted reaction given the pain that Indigo has caused to the broader economy and to the aviation sector, and of course to passengers. It's just a very light tap on the markets that have given to Indigo. Anyway, new highs on MCX, new highs on National Aluminium, and amongst top gainers in the market, you have ITI Limited, 4% higher, Canfin Homes, 3.5% higher, Bombay Stock Exchange running in sync with MCX, 3% higher, 2,904. So it's the capital market space that's doing pretty well in the markets on the long side. Lemon Tree Hotels, 1.9% higher, NAM India, 1.9% higher. I'll be watching out for the capital market space because ICICI Pru AMC opens at 10,000 crore OFS for shareholders, potential shareholders, at a price point of more than 2,000 rupees per share. So that's the one that's putting in a strong move as far as the HPCL space is concerned. Vaishali joins us. Good morning, Vaishali, and a very warm welcome to you. How do you see the Nifty at this point of time?
Very good morning. I think Nifty has been in a very narrow range. I would say near-term support lies at 26,000 and we are seeing a hurdle at 26,350, 26,400 levels. So that would be the range that I would be looking at. But for a weekly perspective, I still feel 25,850, which has been a very crucial support all this while, should continue as a prominent support, and we need to see some clarity if Nifty moves past 26,400. That would be a trigger to see higher targets of 26,600 and so on. But till then, I think it would be a narrow range. Even Bank Nifty, if I were to talk about, I think it's done its round as far as Bank Nifty on the whole is concerned. 60,000, 60,200 is the target resistance, and that's what we have seen in the recent past. So I don't see some momentum coming in Bank Nifty itself. I think IT sector should take over.
Okay. What are the one or two stocks that you're looking forward to this week as far as strength in charts is concerned or breakdowns are concerned?
So, well, we started, just in the morning, we have given a call on MCX. Of course, it's a small trading breakout call. So, well, this is one of the stocks which I think can do even furthermore up to 10,700. The other stock to my liking right now, as per today's move, I think is BSC, getting into new round of momentum. The target that we are looking at right now is 3030. If we see a decisive break above that, I think that could trigger a further up move coming towards 3200. So I think overall it's CDSL, BSE, but BSE gives me a clarity for higher targets.
Okay, so those are the two stocks that we are looking at. Let's also look at some interesting things that are happening in the market at this point of time in terms of stocks that are moving ahead on strong volumes. We've marked Eternal, that's Zomato. Vaishali, I'm just requesting you to please take a look at the daily chart of Zomato. We'll be discussing that shortly. A strong move coming in Linde India. I've described what's happened with SEBI, SAT, this company, and the resignation of the CFO. So this is something that we need to look at, as also strength coming into counters like BSE. Vaishali, first Eternal.
So Eternal, I think looking at all the charts of all time periods, I think it is on a downward trajectory. So unless and until we see this stock moving above 305, it could reverse the trend. But till now, I think it is in a weak zone. This can get into a further sell going towards 280 or so.
Okay.
Sakshi
Hi,
joined us,
Vaishali.
over-
Yeah. Hi, Shailen. Hi, Vaishali. Good morning to both of you. Good to have you with us, Vaishali, after a long time. I think but the aviation space is clearly something that all of us have to focus on. Shell mentioned how Indigo has recovered from the opening lows, although. But look at the beneficiary, that's SpiceJet, 13% higher in trade at this point in time. Vaishali, how are you looking at the aviation space?
Very good morning, Sakshi. Yes, pretty long time. So I think Indigo had its issues, and so we saw this massive fall. But I think that was much called for. This correction is a good opportunity to start accumulating once again, because I think it will be done with its problem soon, and purely on technical terms, if you ask me, I think it is a good opportunity to buy at these levels. I would say accumulation would be a better idea, because this stock has fallen right from the recent high of 6,200 to now at around 5,000 levels, what low we have seen. So I think seeing the worst scenario, this can still go into a further sell around 4,800, 4,600, and these levels, these corrective levels would be the opportunity to buy. So not in a hurry, but well, pretty close to 4,800, that would be the level to start accumulating this stock. As far as SpiceJet is concerned, well, we need to see a follow-on buying, because we are not seeing consistent movement in this stock, because overall it has shown a very corrective bias. So one such momentum, I don't think it could justifies a buy for a long term, but one can take it as a trading strategy. Well, two levels is the support, and one can expect a bounce up to 38 to 40. So clarity and confirmation of a trend would emerge only above 40 levels. So till then, just take it as a trading strategy.
Okay. So that's the aviation's basket for you. Let's also focus on automotives at this point in time. Just look at it, the breaking numbers that are coming on your screen also, viewers. FADA, that's the Association of the Dealers in India, has released the November data where the total sales they have marked down at 17.97% month on month, but up 2% on a year-on-year basis at 33 lakh units. The two-wheeler sales, they say, is down 19.16% month on month and also down 3% on a year-on-year basis, coming in at 25.46 lakh units. Also on the commercial vehicles front, FADA has said that the sales are down by 14.5% month on month and are up, however, 19.94% year-on-year at 94,935 units thereof. So let's focus on the auto space a bit. Vaishali, remember, we were focusing on autos quite a bit in September and all through October, looking at the festive spirits that were in the air. Of course, the earnings gone by just about reflect minuscule amount of the kind of gains that they would have seen on the back of GST rationalization. Most of the auto companies believe either in the last quarter of this calendar year or even in the first quarter of the next year can actually show a better picture of what translation has been on the GST rate cut front. So far on the FADA November data, on a month-on-month basis, across the board, we do see some decline. On a year-on-year basis, we do see some uptake, be it two-wheelers, four-wheelers or the commercial vehicles. How are you looking at the auto space?
Well, space, I would say, well, TVS still holding on very well, so we are pretty bullish. We continue. I mean, of course, I won't recommend a fresh buy, but continue holding with a trailing stop loss to those who are holding. Same way, even with Hero Moto, we saw a good run up, but right now we are seeing some consolidation happening. So 6,000 should act as a final support, and maybe if the stock regains its momentum, this can go towards 65, 6,800 levels. Maruti is another stock which still looks positive for higher targets. So Maruti, well, it has been underperforming all this while as compared to the other stocks. So I would say 15,800, 15,500 is a good support band. And once we see the stock moving above 16,300 levels, this can go towards, I think, 17,000 also. So Maruti is another stock. Ashok Leyland is still looking positive. So I would really go on a stock specific move.
Okay, fair point. Let's also look at some of the other spaces that are buzzing. Let's look at IT. That's the winning sector right now. Amidst all the weakness that we are seeing, about 0.4% higher in trade. Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Infosys, TCS, they are among the winners, among the top 5-7 winners that we see on the Nifty. Your sense on the IT stocks, Vaishali, what would you do with these IT names?
So I agree because this is one sector which has really not performed, and now we are seeing some gradual and consistent move coming in. And we saw the day began with Infosys showing high of the day and all. So likewise, my view stays positive, but new buying opportunity, if I were to look at, I think we still have HCL Tech, which is quite at attractive levels even now. So that is one stock to my liking. So it's also the case with Tech Mahindra that can do, because we have already recommended persistent and all at lower levels. The view still remains positive, but these are the stocks which really need to buck up. So yes, I would focus on these stocks.
In 942, ladies and gentlemen, the 26,200 is proving to be a very, very strong resistance for the Nifty for two reasons. Not only is it a place where substantial amount of call writing is happening, it is also the closing of November month. So that's the reason why you see a bit of a hesitancy coming into the Nifty as far as the market is concerned. 57, 58 points lower. Nifty is gathering strength to take out 26,127. Let's look at the pullers and draggers in the market at this point of time. Of course, IT is providing very, very strong strength to the Nifty. You have Infosys, TCS, Tech Mahindra in the top 5 winners, contributing a total of 11-12 points to Nifty's tally. In the green is Reliance. It's also helping the index on its way up. 10 points is what Reliance is contributing by its 0.5% positive change. And of course, no stopping Hindalco and a fresh record high on National Aluminium. Nalco is something that Vaishali has tracked for a very, very long while. A view at this record high, Vaishali, what does the chart of Nalco tell you?
Well, it is still holding on at higher levels, and I think in all likelihood this can go towards 290 levels also, because the trend is pretty much strong. I don't see, even on a weekly, monthly, I mean, there is scope of, though being an overbought zone, but I think there is still scope for higher targets of 290. So I would wait for 290 with a trailing stop loss.
Okay. Vaishali, also wanted to ask you, when it comes to this life insurance space, how are you looking at HDFC Life? It's the top mover on the Nifty right now. Is this move going to sustain? Should one look at it? And is there also a move which is sector-wide or only limited to this stock?
I'll just have a look. So HDFC Life, we are looking at, I think there is scope, because since 3 days we are seeing a gradual upward move. So we take it gradually. 790, 795 would be the hurdle that one needs to constantly look at. I mean, once we see the stock moving above that, this could trigger a further high going towards, as a positional buy, going towards 820 or so. So currently, the stock looks very positive, and along with that, I think SBI Life also, I would just have a look at that and give you the levels.
Sure.
So yes, SBI Life also, that is showing already in a good uptrend. 1950, we saw new round of momentum setting in. I think this too can go further high towards 2100, 2200 levels.
Okay.
9:45, ladies and gentlemen, the first half hour of trade has elapsed. Nothing much to talk about except for the block deal that's happened on Zomato. Strength returning around 295 to 96. This block deal should provide some support to long-term shareholders. New people getting in, and this is coming in at a multi-week low for the stock. Indigo in pain, but you could look at the glass as half full. The low was somewhere like 5,000 in early trade. At the moment, what you are seeing is 5158, still down 4%. Let's see how the day pans out. But as I've been mentioning, the market is letting off Indigo very, very lightly against the pain that it has caused the broader economy, the aviation sector, and passengers in particular. Let's see how it pans out. In contrast, SpiceJet up about 7-8%, but you know, that's just a knee-jerk reaction. Sakshi, what are you watching? Nifty down 71, 26,115.
Metals just about trying to gain some strength yet again at this point in time. Vaishali, how are you looking at the metal story this far? Do you actually believe that this is a story that will continue, you know, for some more time to come? A lot of you know, technical analysts have been toying with the idea that metals could actually be in a super bull run over the next 1 year or so. Are there signs visible already?
Well, I would say that they've already shown good run-up, metal index already. So little bit of correction in between cannot be ruled out. But I would go stock specific, like Vedanta still looking good. Hindustan Zinc, we need a clarity of it going above 505, 510. That would give a further clarity for higher targets. Hind Copper is another stock which is doing very well. So stock-specific movement, yes. So overall, I think it is a positive bias. So we'll wait and watch, because SAIL has yet to do its round of up move. We've seen good run-up coming in Jindal Steel, JSW, Nalco, Hindalco. So hard to tell whether we are seeing a follow-on buying from here on. But these are the stocks which have still scope for higher targets. So I would look at these stocks.
Okay, fair point. All right, Vaishali, thank you so much then for being with us on the show, and of course helping us find out some ideas. 26,101 for the Nifty. Let's find out whether there will be any pickup because we are at the low point after the first half an hour has already passed. Now we've tested below that 26,100 mark as well. Will we see any bounce back, or will there be some more selling pressure to be had? So we'll continue to look at it. Meanwhile, viewers, the IPO market continues to be in the buzz, so keep an eye out on it. This entire week we'll see about 11 IPOs that will raise close to 13,800 odd crore rupees. Through these IPO. Of course, the ones that are kick-starting this week with the IPO are ICICI Prudential AMC and Wakefit as well. So we'll continue to get you more details throughout the course of the day as well on that front. Thanks a lot, Shell, for being with us on the show as well. And we'll wrap up this show right now. But do stay tuned, viewers, onto Business Today Television. Market coverage continues on the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you on Business Today Television at this